You can make it full screen.
Hello.
Yeah, you can go for the slideshow.
Okay, it is slideshow only. It is not in slideshow.
No, it is not a slideshow. Make it slideshow. It will become full screen.
Just a minute.
F5.
Now it's okay.
No, it is not. It's still not in the slideshow mode. You can press function 5, F5.
I did it.
Then you can go from the screen. You just see there will be a slideshow on the top. And if you click that, it will show it from the current slide or from the which number. From the right end, it is view, then review, and then slideshow. You can click the slideshow.
Okay, let me do it once again. Let me.
Yeah.
Now it is?
The screen is not shared now.
Not shared?
Yeah, screen is not shared. Initially, your screen was shared, but it was not in the slideshow mode. But right now, your screen is not shared.
Now?
Yeah, it is now shared.
Okay. Is full screen now?
No, it is not full screen yet.
Okay, let me start. I think either I have to.
I think let him continue like this only because.
Okay, you start because we are losing time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So thank you RSSDI organizing committee for this opportunity, and the title for my talk is Role of Gut in Pathogenesis of Diabetes, and gut is a target organ for management of type 2 diabetes. So very famous saying in our mythology that whatever you eat, you become like that only. And that actually exactly true here, that in whatever we eat and that is going through your intestine only, and that make lot of changes. Till few years ago, that main pathogenesis about the gut microbiota was not much known, but in last few years, there is lot of studies are available and lot of literature is available that how gut microbiota is playing a role in pathogenesis. So outline of my talk will be like that. Gut is as a organ in role in the pathogenesis of type 2 diabetes. Then gut is a target organ for management of type 2 diabetes in form of anti-diabetic drugs, bariatric surgery, and novel approaches. So we all know about the ominous octet, and these 8 organs are actually involved in the pathogenesis of diabetes, and intestine is one of them. So pathogenesis of diabetes, gut is related to first and most important, we all know about that is a reduced incretin effect. Second is alteration in the gut microbiota. And this gut microbiota is affected by the genetics, diet, exercise, prebiotics, that is actually nutrition, that is responsible for change in the microbiome mass, probiotics, and then antibiotics. So these are the various things that actually take care of the microbiota. Then some role of the short chain fatty acids and the secondary bile acids, and finally the leaky gut hypothesis. So in this particular slide, what I am showing is that these are the various mechanisms by which gut plays an important role in pathogenesis of the type 2 diabetes. Now I'll take one by one. Before that, there is a close interaction between four things. One is glucose metabolism, second is immune system, gut microbiota, and finally there is environment. So these all four things are linked with each other, and that actually responsible for the causation of type 2 diabetes. Like glucose metabolism acts on the immune system through fueling the inflammation and immunometabolism, while the immune system acts on the gut microbiota by controlling the shaping and controlling gut integrity, while the gut microbiota acts on the alters the glucose metabolism by energy supply and modulation of hormone activities. And in addition to the various other things are playing a role in the
Your slides are not changing.
Slides not changing.
Yeah, you are not.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, now it is changing.
okay. This is seen now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was trying to explain you the glucose metabolism, gut microbiota, immune system, and environment. There is these all four factors are responsible for the or contributes for the by various mechanisms for the pathogenesis of the type 2 diabetes. Now, gut microbiota is actually nothing but microbiota is bacteria or commensals. Those are present in the human intestine. That is the actually gut microbiota for the human intestine for the human, and these having the four mechanism of action. One is it has an effect on the incretin secretion, it has an effect on the short chain fatty acid productions, it has an effect on the bile acid metabolism, as well as adipose tissue regulation. So by these four mechanisms, actually gut microbiota alters the glycemic control or takes or develop the contribute for the pathogenesis of the type 2 diabetes. So when look at the microbiome in the human, and on the left side there is a pie chart that is showing what is actually the microbiome composition in the healthy individuals. So that is there is a 1:1 ratio between firmicutes and the bacteroides, that is 1:1 ratio, and almost 1:1 ratio between proteobacteria and actinobacteria is there for the healthy individuals. When the gut microbiome is studied in a patient with type 2 diabetes and obesity, what is observed is that there is significant increase in the number of the firmicutes from almost 35 to 60%, and also there is a reduction in the bacteroides. Those are supposed to be the good bacteria for the human body, so that is reduction in their number. And same time actinobacteria remains the same, but proteobacteria also decrease. So basically in the individuals, in healthy individuals versus the obese type 2 diabetes, there is increase in the firmicutes and while decrease in the bacteroides in the patient obese type 2 diabetes. So there is a gross alteration in the microbiome in these healthy versus obese type 2 diabetes individuals. So what firmicutes does and what bacteroides does is that bacteroides, those are actually help in assimilation of the carbohydrate metabolism, while the firmicutes actually, when the firmicute number is decreased, then what it does is that improve the action of insulin. Meaning by that, if firmicutes level is increased as seen in the type 2 diabetes and obesity, there is reduction in the action of the insulin. Or in other words, we can say that when there is alteration in the ratio of firmicutes versus the bacteroides, that leads to a dysbiosis, and this transition from this kind of bacteria to this kind of bacteria, that leads to the obesity and diabetes. So meaning by that, the firmicutes, once their level is increased in the microbiome, that causes the various alteration, and that is responsible for the obesity and diabetes. I will talk briefly about that, how it happens or how microbiome changes these conditions. Now coming to the gut microbiota and the short chain fatty acids. Gut microbiota actually breaks down the non-digestible fiber to small chain fatty acids. And these small chain fatty acids are three mainly, that is acetate, butyrate, and propionate. So they normally exist in the human gut in a ratio of 3:1:1. in the homeostatic state, so in the normal individuals. So out of these three, the acetate and propionate actually stimulate the secretion of three important incretins, that is GLP-1, GLP-2, and peptide YY. While the propionate actually maintains the gluconeogenesis and leading to a better energy utilization. While the butyrate acts as an anti-inflammatory effect and decreases the gut permeability. So that decreases gut permeability is an important mechanism to prevent the leaky gut, and that is actually responsible for the immunoinflammation. So these short chain fatty acids, when the gut microbiota is altered, these are less formed, and these mechanisms or the incretin secretion is reduces as well as the increases the gut permeability. Now, further through this diagram, I would like to explain. Here is the gut microbiota, and here is the epithelium. And as I've shown that short chain fatty acid is acetate, propionate, and butyrate. This act on the L cells of the intestine from the GLP-1 receptor, this GLP receptor, and from it increases the secretion of GLP-1, peptide YY, and GLP-2, and in turn it affects on the various organs. Those are actually playing a role in the or the part of the ominous octet. Now coming to the second part of the effect of the gut microbiota, that on the bile acids. And what is bile acids? Briefly, the cholesterol in the liver actually synthesized in the liver. These are the synthesis from the cholesterol. This is the primary bile acid. This is cholic acid and quinodeoxycholic acid. When the intestinal bacteria acts on that, that is converted into the secondary bile acids, and these are the deoxycholic acid and lithocholic acid. So when these secondary bile acids are formed, these secondary bile acids acts on the L cells of the intestine, and that also increases the secretion of various incretin, and then they have effect on the various component of the ominous octet. So meaning by that, gut microbiota through short chain fatty acids as well as through the bile acids acts on L cells of the intestine and secretes various incretin and generate their effect. Incretin effect is well known that it is decreased in the patients with type 2 diabetes as compared to the healthy individuals. There is incretin level is more as compared to the individual with type 2 diabetes. Now coming to the leaky gut hypothesis, in case of obesity, there is change in the microbiota. Because alteration in the microbiota, it has two effects in two forms. One is that zonulin 1 and occludin 1. Actually, these two molecules actually helps to maintain the tight junctions. So if there is decline in these two, there is tight junction is not there, or there is loosening of the junction is there in the intestinal epithelium. In addition to this, change in the gut microbiota leads to increase in the anandamide and the cannabinoid receptor mRNA. So because of these four effects, or because of change in the gut microbiota and obesity, that leads to increased gut permeability as well as increase in metabolic endotoxemia, and that leads to increased inflammation, and that result into decreased insulin sensitivity. So how this leaky gut hypothesis takes place in presence of obesity by change in the gut microbiota. So here basically what we try to understand so far, that immunity or the immune system, microbiota and metabolism as well as environment having an effect on the pathogenesis in the type 2 diabetes. But not only in the type 2 diabetes, that gut microbiota also has an effect on the type 1 diabetes, or maybe causation of the type 1 diabetes by increasing the number of autoreactive T cells, and that is autoantibody formation is there, and that can be a mechanism for causation of type 1 diabetes. So this leaky gut hypothesis, actually because of high fat feeding diet or in obesity, change in gut flora leads to increased gut permeability, and because of increased gut permeability, that is increasing the lipopolysaccharide absorption, causes increased endotoxemia, inflammation, and there is various metabolic disorders. So what happens, like look at the profile in the healthy subjects versus type 2 diabetes subjects. So we already seen that in the healthy subject, there is increase in the number of bacteroides as well as Akkermansia muciniphilia, that is one of the bacteria, as well as bifidobacterium. these are increase in the number, and that ultimately helps in increase gut mobility, increases insulin sensitivity, and there is keeps maintain the tight junctions. While in case of type 2 diabetes, there increase the number of firmicutes, and that leads to decline in short chain fatty acids, and that ultimately leads into the insulin resistance, inflammation, as well as leaky gut. So this is the difference in the healthy subjects microbiome, and that is result as well in patients with type 2 diabetes and their results. Now, coming to the second part of the presentation. So far we have understood that gut has an important role through microbiome in the pathogenesis of the type 2 diabetes. Now coming to the gut as a target organ for management of type 2 diabetes. And it can be broadly divided on the basis of available oral anti-diabetic agents or injectables in form of GLP-1 receptor agonist, metformin, acarbose, pramlintide, prebiotics, probiotics, syndietics, etc. And then some surgical procedures are there like bariatric surgery and duodenal mucosal resurfacing, as well as fecal microbiota transplant. So these are the few targets by the type 2 diabetes can be treated, or some of the condition can be cured for the time being. So here is coming back to the ominous octet, and this GLP-1 receptor agonist acts on the various organs, and that is responsible for actually improving in the insulin sensitivity as well as insulin secretion. So we know that GLP-1 receptor agonists are the short acting or the long acting, and there are three actions. One in the brain, increases satiety; on the intestine, decreases gastric emptying, while acting on the pancreas, beta cells, and as well as the alpha cells, increase insulin secretion and decreases the glucagon. While the long-acting GLP-1 receptor agonist is having a major effect on the brain by improving satiety, as well as they're having effect on the increased insulin secretion and glucagon. So basically they helps in the controlling blood glucose by these various mechanisms. Now coming to the metformin, the most commonly prescribed drug in the management of type 2 diabetes, and how it affects the gut microbiota. So metformin actually increases the synthesis of short chain fatty acids by bacteria, those are producing this, as well as Akkermansia muciniphila, that is responsible for the mucin secretion from the goblet cells, and that Bacteroides fragilis, which is the one of the component of the bacteroides that causes the increased synthesis of the secondary bile acid or the bile acid synthesis, and by that it improves the insulin sensitivity. While here just it increases the number of E. coli as well as Shigella in the intestine, might be contributed for the side effect related to metformin is causing the diarrhea here. Pramlintide, I don't want to go into detail because we are not using much frequently here, and so it also having effect on the gastric emptying. So here in this particular slide, the various drugs we use for the management of type 2 diabetes: metformin, alpha glucosidase inhibitor, GLP-1 receptor agonist, how they change the gut microbiota. So I have shown that metformin, AGI, and GLP-1 receptor agonists are favoring the gut microbiota. Those are responsible for the or increases insulin sensitivity, as well as short chain fatty acids, as well as the secondary bile acids. So that alters the gut microbiota, these three drugs, and that is favoring the in form of insulin sensitivity. So here is the study. What is the practical use of or the effect of the probiotics, prebiotics, and synbiotics is that in this particular systemic review and meta-analysis, it has shown that the prebiotics, probiotics, synbiotics actually reduces the hemoglobin A1C, but it does not reach to the threshold of the significance. But it reduces the fasting blood glucose, total cholesterol, and triglyceride. So meaning by that, these drugs are having some effect on the glucose metabolism, and if these drugs are used, but may not be reaching to the statistical significance. Now coming to the very important part of this management, gut as a target organ for management of type 2 diabetes is the bariatric surgery. There are multiple type of surgeries are available, but let's see what is the mechanism, how bariatric surgery improves the glycemic control or the cures the disease for time being. These are the by multiple mechanisms. One is it acts on the brain, so it increases the satiety, decreases food intake, and it decreases fat intake, induces change in the microbiota composition. Second, this bariatric surgery having effect on the pancreas. It increases insulin secretion while increasing the GLP-1 production. It also having effect on the proximal jejunum, and it is causing kind of blind loop that leads to the increased bacterial overgrowth, and by this it causes more bile acid, secondary bile acid synthesis. Then it is also having effect because of the small gastric pouch, so there is increase in pH, and then there is increased intestine motility, and the primary bile acid production is increased, as well as the distal intestine, it increases GLP-1 and increases the secondary bile acids while the primary bile acid is decreased. Here is another very interesting slide and observation is that before surgery, the situation is like that because human ingest approximately 3 to 5 ml of air with each swallow. But most of the time, when there is before surgery, this air will remain in the fundus of the stomach and it will expel to the belching or the hiccups. While in case of the surgery or bariatric surgery, when the individual swallows this air, because there is no storage space over here, so it goes into the intestine, and in intestine this air is trapped into the intestine, and there is increased level of oxygen, and by this increased level of oxygen there is increased activity of the gut microbiota, and there is actually promote the aerobic bacteria to grow in presence of the oxygen, and how it improves the number of or improves the basically microbiome profile after the bariatric surgery or its effect. So in a nutshell, how bariatric surgery improves the hyperglycemia or help in the management of type 2 diabetes is that it increases the pH, increases oxygen availability, it increases digested nutrients in the intestine, and it increases digestible free bile acids, decreases gut motility, and also decreases calorie restriction. So you can see the calorie restriction comes in the last, while other mechanisms are coming very early. And this is very clear also because in the bariatric surgery, the glycemic control improves even before the patient started losing the weight. And this all these effects lead to the microbiome, and that leads to the increase in the number of bacteroides group, as well as increased Akkermansia, mucinophilia, and by these bacteria act on the intestinal mucosa, and that leads to decrease energy harvest from the increased utilization in the intestinal epithelium, and that leads to decreased fat mass accumulation, and acts on the through increase in GLP-1 and GLP-2 secretion, that leads to increased pancreatic beta cell responsiveness, and that leads to the decrease in the inflammation and the insulin resistance. So because of this multiple mechanism, there is change in the gut microbiome profile, and that leads to improving the insulin sensitivity as well as better glycemic control. So the last part of this presentation is that fecal microbiota transplantation can reverse the insulin resistance as well as impairment of the islet cells. So this study is very well proven in the rodents, and they have shown that that in rodents it is fecal microbiome transplantation was effective, and in mouse model, but human studies are very few, but hopefully that might be effective in the humans also. Now for another mechanism of the surgical procedure, that is called duodenal mucosal resurfacing. So duodenal mucosal resurfacing is basically a technique in which through endoscopy, a single minimally invasive endoscope procedure is done. It involves in form of circumferential hydrothermal ablation of the duodenal mucosa, and with the concept that after the hydrothermal ablation, that new duodenal mucosa will come, and that regenerated mucosa actually is having the better microbiome profile, and that will improve the insulin sensitivity. So the DMR or duodenal mucosal resurfacing potentially mimics some of the mechanism of action of the bariatric surgery, and DMR is found to be feasible and safe endoscopic procedure that illustrate durable glycemic improvement in suboptimally controlled type 2 diabetes patients. And this procedure is actually done in the various gastroenterology center, and PGI is one of the center where this procedure is used for the management of or the improve the glycemic control. So I conclude my presentation by saying here that gut microbiota is grossly altered in favor of firmicutes in type 2 diabetes and obese individuals, and that is actually responsible for the decrease in the short chain fatty acids, secondary bile acids, and decreases the incretin release, and responsible for the contributes to the pathogenesis of type 2 diabetes. Of course, leaky gut is an important concept, and that ultimately produces a metabolic endotoxemia and causing insulin resistance. There is no doubt that gut plays an important role in pathogenesis as well as management of diabetes by various oral drugs, GLP-1 receptor agonists, by bariatric surgery, and by the DMR procedure. Thank you very much for your patience.